Hello everybody, welcome to brand new Let's Play series in Hearthstone 4 Calm Before the Storm as Japan. So we played as the Soviets, we played as Democratic Germany, so why not try playing as Japan and the fascist route. So I'm kind of doing one of each major ideology, and if you have any suggestions for who we should play in the future, I do recommend you leave in the comments below, because I don't really know where I want to kind of go with this mod in the future, but if you have any good ideas, I would like to hear them. So Japan in 1933. The Empire of Japan, or the Empire of Great Japan, is currently in a very unstable situation. In World War I, Japan took former German colonies of the Pacific, known as the South Sea Islands, but that was it. During World War I, Japan forced 21 demands on China, and Japan accepted those demands, and those demands were ultimately rejected upon the post-war Washington Naval Treaty. Japan, which had betrayed victory, developed a democratic way of thinking after the war, and during a 10-year period called the Toshoi democracy, two political parties were established, which was constituted by the Rikin Yokai and the Rikin Mitsitio. Also, it included restraining the power of the military and appeasing the colonies. However, the military, which had traditionally been a huge power in Japan, was disgusted by the situation. Japan's crisis began with a series of events which threatened democracy in the late 1920s. In 1927, the Showa financial crisis shook up Japan's economic roots, allowed by the Great Depression, which began with the collapse of the New York stock market. I feel like this is not really written imperfect. I don't think whoever wrote this probably their first language is not English. Okay, collapse of the New York Stock Exchange. Japan's economy began to collapse, and as the civilian government failed to resolve it, public support for liberal democracy began to plummet. In this moment, radical army officers and innovative officials united to resolve the situation in Japan, which led to an extreme military expansion against China. The Manchurian Incident in 1931, followed by the Shanghai Incident and the establishment of the Manchukuo, changed Japan's fate forever. The civilian government couldn't control the runaway of the military, and to make matters worse, Prime Minister Toyosu Inikai, who was the biggest opponent to Manchurian affairs, was assassinated by army officers in 1932. Immediately after, in order to fill Inokai's place, the emperor appointed Satai Maiko, a renowned naval admiral, as prime minister, and united the two parties to form a national unity government. The year 1933 began with Japan's military expansion in northern China. The border clashes at the Great Wall are expanding the borders of Manchuria, and the eyes of the world are paying attention to Japan. What will the future of Japan? What will be the future of Japan? Will democracy strive from the crisis, or will the military eventually seize the power of Japan? Only the emperor will know. Factionalism in Japan. Since the Meiji Restoration, various factions have always led the country's politics. The military, too, was divided, but continued to intervene in politics as a faction, and officials and promising politicians who contributed greatly to the Meiji Restoration were also at odds over the direction of the nation's development. However, during the democratic period of the 1920s, called the Taisho democracy, party politics were highlighted, and these factional confrontations did not appear very well. The resurgence of this factionalism was due to the 515 incident in 1932, when Prime Minister Inokai, who was balancing power between the military, bureaucrats, and Zaibatsu, was assassinated. The political situation became chaotic, and those who supported unstable democracy lost their power clearly. In order to maintain democracy, backed by strong support of the emperor, former naval commander Satai Makoto was appointed prime minister, but he too was unable to curb the resurgence of factions. As of 1933, there were four major factions in Japan, each with different directions and goals. A promising politician and aristocrat, Kainai Furumoto, created a power through his own charisma, and that became the Yokusan faction. With support of the aristocratic order, innovation officials, and modern military figures, he pursues liberal reforms to complement party politics. He's also a young man, as well as popular in Japanese politics, and many expect him to be the person who shall reform the country. Meanwhile, the popular diplomat, backed by many officials and diplomats, Hiroto Koi, supports relatively considering foreign and domestic relations. He wants to end what he sees as hostile relations through negotiation with China, and sees the overpowering military as a negative light. But many question whether he can maintain his power, or if he will be able to be swayed by others, and also continuing opposition from the military is threatening his faction. Hiranoma Rocho, an old judge who was called the Right Socialist and supported by conservative bureaucrats and nationalist rightists, leads Kanaya, who maintains Japan's spirit and pursues fascist policies. A similar claim to the Japanese Army's Koeda, he sees the Soviet Union as the greatest threat and insists on joining hands with Germans to counter it. The Emperor and others see him in a very negative light, and it's unlikely he will actually take power. Finally, Tojo, the control faction of the military, is also a political faction itself. They are led by two famous generals, Nakai Techo and Tojo Hideki. They want to ultimately transform Japan into a military state through collaboration of innovation officials and the Zbayatsu. And they support the Southern Invasion Doctrine, which military calls Nachiron. Nachiron. But they are hated by most officials, and the Emperor is also reluctant to let the military take power. Well, after butchering many names here, we go for the National Unity Government. Wait, no, what else do we have? Japanese. I think we're going to go for, let's do the National Unity Government. We want to get Tojo in charge, because we're going to kind of go with the historical path and successfully invade the Pacific States. I think that's kind of like what our goal here is for right now. Operation Neka. Since the Manchurian incident in 1931, tension in Manchuria and Rena and Rihei has been increasing. Zhang Zulang, the former ruler of Manchuria, stayed in Rei and tried to recover the Manchuria that Japan invaded with the help of the Kuomintang. But this was rather a provocation of Japan. The incident of July 1932 further aggravated the Sino-Japanese conflict, and Japan's invasion of North China became a fait accompli. Since October of 1932, sporadic clashes have continued between Chinese and Japanese troops in a fortress located on the eastern end of the Great Wall. There was only one more conflict in December, but no decisive battle had occurred. However, in January 1st, 1933, finally a full-scale invasion by the Kuomintang army had finally happened. The invasion, unauthorized by the top and arbitrary, took the fort in just 2 days and began to escalate into a series of diplomatic issues. Kuomintang County's arbitrary behavior confused Daihone, and soon after, even within the Japanese military and dispatched the additional troops to Rene, became a serious concern. But regardless of the concerns in the Japanese home islands, the Kuomintang army, which had already broken the Great Wall, is moving deeper and deeper inside China, and Beijing and Tianjin are within their range. The dice have already been thrown, and North China is once again engulfed with a full-scale war. Oh, we're at war now. Lovely. So as you can see, the action is going to be happening much faster here than we have had in the past. Move troops into Beijing. Get all the troops off the home island, so they don't really need to be here, I think. At least not right now. Is 42 our, is that everyone we have? We have 43. There's one guy in Taiwan, so we'll get you two to deploy here. Split this army. We'll have like a small fallback line here. But everyone on this line, you are all part of this army. Yeah, that seems fine to me. We'll throw both of you underneath a field marshal. Apparently our leaders are not very good. They're actually all bad. Which is just incredible. They're actually all terrible. And I don't know really what we've done to deserve this. We go for production. We'll go for basic industry. We'll go for basic construction. I mean, basic technologies are really what we were looking for. And we will go for some basic military factories in the home islands. So what do we need right now? Infantry, support equipment, convoys. I mean, that's really all we actually have. Our army actually kind of sucks. I really think we need to improve things drastically. I think we're going to start producing some cheap tanks. We're going to need to definitely produce some fighters and some... probably some Great War bombers to begin off with. Seems kind of alright. What else we got? Political factions. Explanation. This is what we've already read. So we can kind of influence all of these people. Literacy rate in Korea is 8%. Militancy consciousness. And you're the same thing. Okay, so which one? We want to get the... Which faction are you? Toshai. I don't think it's any of these guys. Wait. Koinoi faction. Is it just me or like are none of these listed here? Let's just name that to the person. Actually, maybe it says here. Okay. Yokan's faction, army officers, bureaucrats, moderate bureaucrats. Okay. So you probably want to get the Koya faction in charge? No. We want to get the Kanen faction in charge. Okay. Okada has asked for resignation. Secretary of Navy has requested retirement. 65 years old. Well, thank you for your service. Japanese troops are now quickly deploying their way towards the border. Do we have any aircraft? That's the Navy. We want to get our aircraft. Actually, do we not have any air? No, all of our aircraft actually just on ships, so that's not useful at all. But I will combine all of our Navy into like one big fleet to begin with. That seems fine. We will go for... Are we making any convoys? No. So, you know, let's just put like one row in the convoys for now. We'll start putting more probably into submarine stuff in the future. I still think submarines are like the best ship in Hearthfire 4. Okay, and we're going to actually deploy Purple Army to be right... Okay, no, we'll deploy Purple Army to be right here. And you're going to basically spearhead your way straight to Beijing. Please deploy as fast as you possibly can. Because I think this should be a relatively easy push. I mean, there's already empty provinces here. The AI does not have enough troops to actually maintain this front, at least for right now. Okay, got the National Unity Government. We have 112 political power, which is nice. Rescue democracy? Absolutely not. Democracy is for nerds. We're not going to be a democratic Japan. I'm going to tell you that right now. Okay, so you want to get the Kanan... Meet with the nationalists. Yeah, you know, let's meet with the nationalists to begin with. Again, we want to get the Kanans as much as we can. Put you in here. And then more conservative bureaucrats. That's it. That seems fine for us to begin with. And Hitler's now been appointed in Germany. You guys, of course, are going to be very, very aggressive in your attacks. And one of you, basically, you're not in the war. You know what? Yeah, I need to call you into the war. Yeah, because you need to go up here. And then you're just going to march straight onto Beijing. Because, again, we haven't seen the Japanese actually win their war in China. Like, they do pretty well, but then you always get, like, bogged down. So what I want to see if we can actually end up winning the war. Right? Like, that's kind of my goal. Okay, apparently Japan internal's gone down. This doesn't seem very good, but okay. Okay, so Dongbai, we need to come down to 0%, really? That seems a bit much. And you know what? Blue Army can also just make some basic pushes as well. And are you all core territory? I mean, you are. The Republic of China doesn't have that much land. You're not in a faction. Am I in a faction? No, at least not quite yet. Okay, and Beijing has now fallen. That seems pretty good if you ask me. Move our way this way. You come over here. You're going to move your way to this city. And you're all going to kind of just, like, march in this direction. Like, we want to get some tank divisions up because Japan right now has no tanks. Which seems pretty bad. And you fallen. Let's make our way to your new capital. You're going to go to that city. You're going to go up to Zhangbai. And you're close to falling already. Okay, the Taingu truce. The Chinese and Japanese representatives have met to negotiate the end of the conflict. We demanded a militarized zone extending 100 kilometers south of the Great Wall from Beijing to Tianjin. No regular Kuomintang military units are allowed in the demilitarized zone. Public order within the zone will be maintained. Okay, so you've gained some cores. I mean, I guess this is a decent expansion. I mean, we don't keep Beijing, which is unfortunate. I would have liked to maintain that control, but we'll put you here for right now. Yeah, you all just deploy towards the front line, because basically, why would I, why would I move my troops out of here? I don't think there's a reason for me to do so. Some goods go down. You know, let's try to improve our economy as much as we possibly can right now. Cotton production increase. I think that's fine, and we'll also get our Navy and Army experience up a little bit as well. So you're the continent already at 5 points. I don't know what we need to get them to for them to probably like coup the government. But I'm hoping at some point soon they will decide that a coup is the right way to go. Yes, because now the Republic of China now owns like way more territory up here. Okay, FDR has been elected president. The Showa Sanriku earthquake. March 3rd, 1933, an 8.1 magnitude earthquake hit the Pacific Ocean. And a tsunami from the epicenter hit the Toyo region with a powerful earthquake. I mean, that seems pretty bad. We're going to get a little bit of damage. Really nothing and it's like, it's 0.25 damage on one level of infrastructure. I'm not, like... Personally, not super concerned about that. We can't just fight any wars right now. That's okay. Because, again, as Japan, we're going to be getting involved in conflict way earlier than either the Germany campaign or the Soviet Union campaign, which lasted until, I think, like, 1938 was when we first started our actual first conflict. Here we should be, I think, like 1935, 1936, roughly, is when we'll be seeing our first major offensives actually taking place. We don't want the moderates, we don't want you. The Yakuza. We don't want you. And the Koya is the moderate bureaucrats. Again, we kind of want to go for as many. You don't do anything. Okay, well that's less great. Deal with the leftists, deal with the militarists, prevent coup attempts. I mean, some of these don't do anything. But let's first, I guess we'll devalue the won, or devalue the yen, I should say. Get that done first. Radio broadcasting. We don't want this. And you know, we'll just keep on meeting with the nationalists. Again, I'm assuming 100 would be the number we want them to be at. I mean, 100 is just like a nice number for it to be at. For the coup to take place. We want to get the coup going as fast as humanly possible. Because we need to quickly, if we can, quickly win the war in China. And then after that, spread out into Southeast Asia. And then probably pushing our way into the Soviet Union as well. Like, there's going to be a lot of invasions we're going to need to take. By the way, what are you? You're 31 combat with. Why? And you're 10 combat with. Duplicate template. Why can I not modify this? Because you're a special template, huh? I'm not actually allowed to modify you either. Can I at least train more units? No. Why can I not train units right now? We're fading democracy, social anxiety, rising militarism, divided army. Chinese expansion doesn't actually do anything. We got the crisis that we're trying to deal with. Right now, I'm not actually allowed to train units. Am I allowed to at least... Equipment? No, I don't want to... I want to, like... Because we can't duplicate you. Can I train Manchurian units? They're all kind of garbage. The answer is no, I'm not. And also, I'm not allowed to delete it right now either. So... There's something going on, like, we're not allowed to make more units, and I'm not really too sure why. Maybe that'll become apparent at some point in the future, I don't know. The Chaco War, okay, we don't care about that at all. Because that's against, yeah, Bolivia and Paraguay. Two countries, which I'm going to say we don't really have any interest in actually dealing with right now. Because I think we need to put some troops in Taiwan. And have them invade into the Fujian clique and down here in Guangdong. You know, capture southern China. Capitulate all these smaller cliques and then use them to push our way northwards. I think that makes the most amount of sense. At least to me. Okay, foreign exchange control. Let's go for more technology. You're 1918 techs. I'm guessing Japan is like, they don't seem like they're very well developed. And I'm not really too sure why they have not been developed that much for the mod. Because I feel like Japan is like one of the major players. Well, that's okay. I don't think anybody here is probably not going to do anything too crazy. I mean, I don't think we've really seen the AI do anything that's super ahistoric. At least that's kind of how it's seemed to me so far. Okay, if militancy reaches 10, the Koreans will revolt. Right now they're at 2.3, so I'm not actually that worried about it. And we'll just keep on spending our political power to meet with all these people. And you're always false, so I'm not allowed to even increase any of this. Maybe because we're at a fading democracy? Militarism, divided army. I'm really not too sure. Okay, let's also do some deficit spending. A small event in Saka. Around 1140 on June 17th, 1933, Private First Class Nakamura, who is going to a movie for a holiday at the intersection in Osaka, crossed the intersection in defiance of red light. Toda Tadao, a 25-year-old policeman who was directing traffic at the time, warned Nakamura with a megaphone and took him to the police station. At the time, Nakamura fought back at the police station, saying the soldiers can obey the military police, they do not have to obey the orders of the police officers. Nakamura suffered an eardrum injury with a 3-week preposition, and Toda suffered a week of preposition, including a tear in his lower lip. Suffered a week of preposition. Am I, like, not understanding what, like, the sentence means? The incident turned to be quite a big deal when it was known to the military police, to the higher authorities. Relations between the military and the government ministries, which had not been good enough, may erupt into the wake of a small incident, but the situation still appears to be under control. Yeah, like, definitely whoever wrote these events, I definitely don't think he's like a native English speaker. I think that much seems evident. Because, like, all the word structure is, like, very strange. Like, I don't quite... Like, it just doesn't flow right. The incident escalates. Contrary to our expectation, it turned out to be a bad one. The police wanted to settle the situation peacefully, but on June 21st, the incident became known to the military commander and the Ministry of the Army, and eventually the Emperor became aware of it. We demand an apology from the Osaka police on the honor of the Army, said Sarai Araki, the Army Minister, but Interior Minister Yamamoto Tatsoi insists the police should never be pushed back by the pressure of the military, never yield a step, never apologize, and the soldiers should be arrested and prosecuted in accordance with the principle. The incident seems to be the military's fault, but it should be carefully avoided to jump to conclusions, as the investigation is still underway. But in order to not drag this case out for a long time, it may be better to order the military to step down and side with the police. You know what? Let's escalate it further. I feel like that's probably what we want to do in order to get the give more power to the fascist. But for right now, I think it's going to be a good time for us to end this episode. So thanks to everybody for watching. My name is Anthem. If you enjoyed, my thumbs up. Not doing, click thumbs down. You want to subscribe, and goodbye.